Next, we are excited to welcome Muni Binay Camisetti, Head of Data and Automation Enterprise Tech at Lazada, joining us from Singapore. Muni Binay leads the regional data and AI operations for enterprise intelligence at Lazada. He has more than 13 years of experience in driving enterprise-level digital transformation through AI and data. Muni worked with many Singapore-based financial services, government entities, and retail e-commerce companies to scale up their data and intelligent automation initiatives. His other capabilities include implementing an enterprise data culture with robust data governance, integrating intelligence into the corporate strategy, designing and building AI Center of Excellence, and advising companies on AI governance framework like PDPC and MASFIT. Apart from his work, Muni has a great passion for enabling and mentoring young data, AI engineers, and scientists. He has been actively coaching such young talents across many universities in Singapore, India, China, and Malaysia. Also, he is greatly interested in niche emerging technologies like quantum computing. Today, Muni will talk about the effect of 5G plus Wi-Fi 6.0 on the AI ecosystem and the business landscape. Muni, over to you.
Excellent. Hey, thank you so much, Joel. Appreciate it. First of all, good afternoon for the people who are attending from the New York, and greetings of the day for the people who are attending outside US, right, from other parts of the world. So I'm Muni, like Joel said. Today I'm gonna walk you through, or at least present my thoughts on two very important niche technologies that's gonna fundamentally revolutionize at least next 5 years, I would say, right? The way we interact, the way we use the devices in next 5 years, I would say. So as I said, it's going to be like integrated into our day-to-day life. So what is that? Let's talk about it, how it's going to change us, and then especially on the business landscapes and AI, what are some of the changes that it could able to bring? So let me see if I can make it a little interactive. Probably you have access to these comment box there. Can anybody know what is 5G, or at least do you have a fundamental idea on what is 5G? And then have you heard about 5G and Wi-Fi 6.0 technologies before? I think it's good to leave some comments there. Later I'll go through them, right, to see if they make sense. But otherwise, let's start the session. Today, what I'm going to walk you through, the session's knowledge path is going to be something like this. Right? I don't call it agenda, so rather I call you a knowledge path. So first, I'm going to introduce what is 5G and Wi-Fi 6.0 are, and the current and future impact of these technologies. And then let's say, how do you then even implement it in your organizations? What are some of the factors that you need to consider while integrating this into your business models? And especially in your data and AI operations, how do you integrate these technologies and then deliver without any issues? Correct? At least shared my lessons learned, right? And then I'm going to close it up with a drone delivery use case, and then summarize with the key takeaways. Yeah. So that's going to be a knowledge path for today's session. Let's get into an exciting slide. I think this is my favorite slide out of all, right? I'll spend about a couple of minutes and explain Mr. X life in 2027, right? So Mr. X, how is he gonna? How is his day-to-day life looks like in one of the virtual worlds that you can think of? So like Mr. X wakes up in the morning, right? And then the curtains are removed automatically. And then water heater is like on automatically. In this case, two things are happening, right? AI has predicted his wake-up time accurately. And then also the moment he woke up, his body, the sensors or the watch that he's wearing is like sending the signals saying that, hey, I'm awake now. So can you please start my daily routine activity? And then as he was brushing and then getting ready, the holographic avatar comes in front of him, reads his scheduled meetings and then daily news. Tells him, "Hey, you have a board meeting, by the way. Last night you've been working on some presentation, right? So you need to present it to your board members." So X, what he'll do, he gets ready and then sits in a autonomous car, driverless. So then while the car is driving, so he quickly downloads in his mobile the presentation that he was working on yesterday. So this was not a normal PPT. We're talking about a presentation that needed to be presented in a metaverse, or probably it's like a virtual reality presentation or an augmented reality presentation, which is about 1000 GB. He just downloads within like 5 seconds. Look at the speed. And then he uses 5G cloud, by the way, to download. And then he doesn't go to the office. As you know, people are all working from home. So this is kind of a 5G cell, which is very close to his home, about 2 to 3 kilometers from his home. And then this 5G cell is a shared cell between many companies, many multinational companies. So then you can also access your metaverse and then even augmented reality worlds using this. So he gets into one of such metaverse and then presents his thoughts to the board members, right? And then he continues his work for the day. He plays digital games in there in the metaverse, collects some NFTs from there, and then comes out, right? So it's almost in the evening. Once it is in the evening, his AI avatar reconfirms his table, right? It's a garden view. He likes it usually. Using his NFTs, the AI avatar automatically makes the payments and then reconfirms his table for the date. And then it also prepares a summary videos, right, based on publicly available data or the data that is that his date is willing to share before, and then cautions him, "Hey, your date is a vegetarian." So then, he goes to the date, and then he spends his date wonderfully. The AI avatar or the AI which is running behind his phone or whoever that is. Intelligently monitors his dinner speed, predicts that he would be late to the home, and then reschedule his 8 o'clock grocery delivery to the 9 p.m. And then sets his phone to the private mode and intelligently interacts with his calls, replies, and emails, right, saying that, "Hey, don't disturb." So I'm an AI. My virtual boss is Hunter. He's in personal dinner, and then. So then, when he's about to reach home, so it sends a signal to the delivery company. Delivery company kept all his orders in the nearest warehouse to his house. And then as soon as he's about to reach the house, a drone starts from his warehouse. And then actually the moment he gets into the gate and then parks his car and comes, the drone delivers his, the groceries in front of it. Looks like one of your, the sophisticated Hollywood Bond movies. But actually, I would say this is reality. This is going to happen. So why and how is it going to happen is based on these two technologies that I'm talking about, right? So what makes this possible is the Wi-Fi 6.0 and then Wi-Fi 5G are some of the two technologies that you heard, right? This is basically going to lay one of the foundations and then make such a life that I just explained possible. Let me quickly introduce what is 5G and then what is 6.0, right? Basically, if I want to put it in 3 parameters or things that are quite common, right? They're basically built on the same foundation and then they actually complement each other. So it doesn't mean that it doesn't work in a separate way, right? In your life, actually, they're going to work in tandem. 3 important points. So 5G and Wi-Fi 6 is going to bring you better performance and then immersive experience. So and then basically it's IoT at scale, right? So let me just summarize what that means. So better performance is high speed, right? So which means that the data speeds or the speed at which you interact with your probably internet or network, it's very at least I would say 10 times faster than your 4G technology. So then you're able to hit a download speed of 20 Gbps per second, right? 20 GB per second. So that's the 5G technology in terms of the capacity, or this also creates that low latency, right? So meaning it's quickly able to interact. And then high capacity, right? When I say high capacity, which enables the interaction not just to interact with your mobile devices. So, but rather all the devices where the 5G is enabled, maybe your IoT devices, your watch, your mobile phones, all these, right? So the 5G is predominantly, and even Wi-Fi 6.0 is predominantly built to interact not just with the phones, but multiple devices together. And then on the other hand, we just talked about the Wi-Fi, the 5G. Wi-Fi 6.0 is largely used in the indoors. When you talk about 5G, so if you go out, when you don't have the Wi-Fi connections, that's where you get connected to your 5G network, right? So, but by then in home, you don't switch on the Wi-Fi, connect to your home Wi-Fi and then play around. So that's why it's largely built for the indoors, and then compared to its previous generation of 5, it's 35% speed burst, right? And then this is all advanced things like your high density collaborations, 8K kind of collaborations, right? And then to work with like at least 50 to 100 IoT devices. So you can't use Wi-Fi 5.0, your previous versions of the Wi-Fi, because it lacks the capability to interact. So this makes it possible. So the Wi-Fi 6.0 makes it possible. In short, it provides a better performance experience for the wireless LAN networks. So to summarize, I think it's built on the same foundation, going to complement each other. So it's going to give you better performance, immersive experience, and IoT at scale, just to summarize. Like I would recommend to any of my audiences in my previous seminars. So I think you can go and do some research on how it is different to its predecessors. I think the people are technically needed to know. So I think you have some interesting facts to look around. But I'm not going to get into the technical aspects of it. Just understand it's going to give you a better capacity, low latency, and high speed. So just to rewind what's happening in the Mr. X life, right? So at home, when he was interacting with the AI avatar, and then when he was preparing all those augmented reality presentation, he was using largely it's a high density interactions that he's dealing with. So he uses Wi-Fi 6.0 to deal with it, right? But when he was driving and then downloading all the presentation, the autonomous vehicle, which is also using an AI and interacting with the environment, in this case, at least it's using the 5G. So because it doesn't have the capability to interact with Wi-Fi 6.0. So basically, that's why outside it's 5G, and then indoors, like an office or even like the shade cell that I was talking about. In this case, it uses a combination of both 5G and Wi-Fi 6.0. So there are some firms, like for example, I think Altron. Altron is a company which is also thinking about a single integrated and interoperable solution by leveraging the Wi-Fi gateways and 5G cores and subscriber management and bundling options. Right? So meaning, if you just subscribe to the Altron, you don't have to switch between Wi-Fi 6 and 5G manually. Right? It's all through the same network and then bundled through the same kind of subscription, and then it's a seamless switch between these two. Some experimental kind of a convergence options that was going on in here. So yeah, it's going to work magic if you combine Wi-Fi 6 and Wi-Fi 5G, right? Just to give you a potential understanding of how it's going to impact to the economy, and then how is it currently, and then how it's going to impact the economy. I think some numbers and facts. Later, I think you're going to get these slides. I'm not going to spend too much here, but just try to understand this much, right? So as you can see on the left-hand side, these are the current situation, or the current, how do I put it, the current penetration of, I would say, the 5G and Wi-Fi 6.0 in the current world. And then total 5G subscriptions, it's going to hit in 2022, like 1 billion connections. And then it was 220 million in 2021. So almost every nation that you could able to see here, right? Those green ones, light blue ones, dark blue ones. So they're all going to become a dark blue, which means that they're going to have a powerful 5G network. No doubt about it. So it's going to be like penetrated into your lives, even if you don't want it. So it's powerful. At least the penetration wise, I could already see an improvement. And then definitely it's going to overtake some of its predecessors in like 2 months down the line. And then like similarly, it's going to create a GDP of 13.1 trillion across the globe, correct? And then it's expected to create 22.8 million jobs, and then it's fundamentally going to revolutionize the economy. And then, as you can see here, again, let me reiterate, these technologies are built not just to interact with your mobile devices, but also your the other digital devices, like IoTs, for example. This is predominantly built for them. And then also some innovative technologies, which is which requires low latency and high performance, like AR, VR, metaverse. So it's also built for them, right? And then, as you can see, the AR, VR traffic is going to expected to increase by 12 times. And then at least you have 25 billion IoT devices, right? That's gonna be like working on Wi-Fi 6.0 and your 5G connections by 2025, according to the IDC. So all in all, just to summarize this slide, even if you don't want it, you're going to get exposed to some of these technologies, and then positively, it's going to create that impact to the economy, correct, in a way that you wouldn't even imagine. So good. The world is going to get adopted, but what is in it for me? So how is my firm adopt to this particular technology? Can I leverage Wi-Fi 5.0, Wi-Fi 6.0 and 5G, and then build some solutions? And then can I just use it at any cost or any manner, or is there like a lessons learned or a best practices that is already there? So which is what I'm going to focus on in next few slides. Okay, so very high level approach, right? So again, disclaimer, this is based on my research or based on what I learned, not my companies or anything like that, but just my personal research and how this needs to be implemented. And then some secondary research and some primary research in the industry, and then come up with these 8 points. And I might not be able to cover all the 8 points today, but I'm going to cover important sections of this, right? Very high level, if you want me to glance through this, everything starts from your corporate strategy, right? If your firm is largely into the consumer businesses, or probably it needs to adopt these technologies and then wanted to create that fundamental differentiation in the market, so that's where you get to use this technology early, try this technology early, and then have that first mover's advantage, correct? And then at the same time, even though if you want to go at like a high speed, but by then your country or the economy in which you operate is not it's not ready enough to put these services into the action or create the value that you're expected, then that also drives your implementation, right? And then most importantly, you need to select the use cases and then plan the infrastructure holistically, right? Holistically is important. You don't just plan only for Wi-Fi and 5G, right? There are other technologies that needs to integrate with these two technologies, and then how do you even think about all these and then plan a holistic infrastructure is what we need to think about. Technology is important, governance is also important. For example, if you built an excellent Wi-Fi and 6.0 solution, then what if it fails tomorrow? So how do you make someone accountable, and then how do you even mitigate or if something like that happened, like quickly get into the action, and then how do you even make sure that the impact is mitigated? So that's where your governance come into the play, and then also can you be ethical when you are implementing these solutions? So all those are governance aspects. Invest on security, and security is fundamentally the first and foremost the layer of defense in all these technologies, right? The governance and then process and procedures are second level and third level. And then you also need to think about some ML ops and edge networks, which I'm going to walk you through later. So all in all, I think some of the key factors, at least my way of understanding of how you implement these, before you implement, these are the factors that you would need to think around or tick in the boxes, right? At least make sure these factors are looked upon before implementing the Wi-Fi 6.0 or 5G. Or even when I say implementation, so you use it to benefit your organization or build solutions around it as part of your regular product upgrades, right? Major upgrades that can enable this 5G or Wi-Fi 6.0. So I'm talking about both sides. So I would say the 3 areas, for example, the key factors that would even make your this covers A and B portion of it. So the key actors, if you ask me, in the 5G and the Wi-Fi era, actor number one, very important. So how many of you heard about situations where even though you wanted to try and do some innovative things, but you don't simply have, as a country, you don't have the infrastructure even to try something like that. So for example, at least 10 years back when I was in India, So I want to try these low latency, the fiber, the bandwidths, and then try to run some, very how do I put it? It's like needs a high performance network to do some kind of data transfers. So at that time, even though I wanted to do it at the time, advanced countries like US and even Korea and Japan, they were able to enable all that. But as a country yourself, you don't have that infrastructure. So which is why the government and regulators are very important to enable the 5G and Wi-Fi era. So, for example, I'm from Singapore, so the Singapore government thinks at least 5 to 10 years ahead, right? So they kind of at least 3 years, 4 years back, they set the foundation for the 5G, and then even trying to do some experimentation, POCs. They conducted their internal brainstorming sessions on how the 5G and Wi-Fi 6.0 are going to add value to the society. Very well connected with the telecom operators here, and then enable them to quickly roll out the 5G than the others. Similarly, South Korea and then, for example, Japan for that matter. Right? So in the map that I presented previously, the reasons why some are dark blue compared to some are still experimenting like green is very reason. The government is a key enabler. And then network operators and infra providers, so they also they need to have like a horizontal enablers for 5G, and then they also need to have some targeted end-to-end solutions and use cases to be able to integrate well into the offering side. And then last two actors, obviously the enterprises and consumer adoption. Even though if I have a 5G, but my people in my country are probably the consumers in the area or the market the way I operate, right? I don't need a 5G. Then it doesn't make sense. There's no adoption there to have a low latency, high performance use cases. So ideally, then that also defines my slowness in terms of the network operators and also government to look at this. And then also your maturity of IoT devices within the country, and then the hardware, the value chain within the country, right? Also kind of like enable or even delay the implementation of the Wi-Fi 6.0 or 5G era. Correct? Your chips, availability of your chips, and then devices, and even how well your consumers are using the IoTs, and can the IoT is able to connect well to this integrated solutions that network operators are providing. So all in all, look at it is what going to enable this Wi-Fi 6.0 and 5G. So some of these are most of these are basically your macroeconomical factors. So there's very little influence that you can think about, but just that it'll give you a very good idea around. Do you really need to get into these two technologies immediately in the economies you operate? So you just think about these four actors and then look at the maturity levels of these two to understand. Okay, so use cases. Like I said, I'm in the interesting part of the world. So Singapore, we have a bank called DBS, and then DBS announced last week that they're getting into the metaverse. So they're going to offer metaverse solutions, the banking solutions to Singapore, right? When I say banking solutions, basically you'll be able to get into the metaverse, do some kind of a banking transactions, and also integrate with your NFTs and then Web 3.0 architecture, and then play around, right? So it's like getting into another universe. So early adopters. So how do you think it's possible? Because like I said, the bank is the four actors that I defined previously is like they're there in Singapore. So when you have consumers who would like to try these niche technologies, and then my operators like Singtel, StarHub, they're like having an excellent 5G infrastructure, and at the same time, government is very supportive into these fintech plus Web 3.0. NFT, metaverse integration with these 5G solutions, right? So it worked all well. So that comes to our next two slides, right? So what kind of use cases really works well? So depending again, it's a self-explanatory slide, but just to put you into the points. So the employee networking, the machine networking, and customer networking are the three different areas which you need to look at, and then try to understand in these combinations, for example, which use cases are better for you. And then if you're talking about IT administration, so then the security and fraud prevention comes into the play. So probably how do you do it better with these two technologies? And then component providers like the manufacturers of wireless chipset and plants, right? So basically, if you look at it, so they're going to use one or two providers, and then they are the ones who are able to adopt the Wi-Fi 6.0 and 5G into their smart manufacturing technologies, and then consulting firms and integrators are helping them how to even achieve these kind of operating models in the future. Wireless carriers, crystal clear, right? They just want to provide you the services. So look at different type of industry that you fall into. The self-explanatory slides will be able to give a high-level idea of use cases related to these three areas. Similarly, I think if I look at it, some of the well-known use cases, right? If you put in terms of the latency and then high throughput services, so the virtual reality, augmented reality, autonomous driving, and then tactile management, right? Those requires low latency and then high throughput, right? So they're excellent use cases. Right away, you can just use 5G and Wi-Fi 6.0 for that, and then like those that are towards these right side and then right corner side is good use cases for the 5G. And then even I'm talking about the real-time telemetrics, real-time video upload links, advanced controls, smart metering, smart city projects. So these are also some of the excellent the 5G Wi-Fi or Wi-Fi 6.0 use cases. So you're gonna get the slides. I think you can look at it at your own pace. Like I said, depending on the industry that you're in, and then also the kind of the requirement that you need in terms of the latency, throughput, and the support that you have in the new products and markets. This is pretty much define your use cases. And then last, some of the important things that I talked about is you need to, so the 5G is going to interact with the IoT. The moment it interacts with the IoT, the kind of data that IoT devices generate is at least about, I would say 15 to 20 times more than the normal data that you usually get in your organizations. It's because the sensors and the IoT devices, they stream the data in real time. So which means that so you need to start moving from your infrastructure, modernize your data infrastructure to support these real-time capturing and processing of these data, and at the same time able to push it down to the downstream systems, and then able to get some insights and some actionable dashboards or actionable use cases. So this itself is a modernized data. So like I said, data integration, right? You need to have that. You need to modernize your data stacks. And then artificial intelligence. So like I said, when you're working on the real-time data, the way which you need to use that quickly, swiftly, and then retrain your models and make your AI model more real time is what it's gonna define a good AI maturity model tomorrow, right? So 9 billion connected devices when you have tomorrow, and then when your artificial computer IQ is like 10,000 plus compared to the human IQ, right? So you need to have a better operating model to bridge your Wi-Fi 6.0 and then 5G enabled solutions with this. So I would recommend two important factors here. You need to think about MLOps, not just MLOps, because now we are dealing with the IoTs and devices and all that. You need to think about edge MLOps, meaning you just not think about building this end-to-end machine learning model in an organized in a kind of like a MLOps model, but also to bring it onto the edge devices, and then, for example, you use your mobiles to, for example, if you have a mobile phone, in the mobile phone, can I run an ML model instantly and then take something meaningful insights and then take some actions, right? So we are talking about that. So bringing those the ML solutions onto the IoT devices that you have. For example, can you build a smart sensor? We could able to understand. So let's say if I have a camera in my ambulance, that could able to use the inbuilt AI model to understand the condition of the patient and then connect to the right doctor in the back end, right? Or could able to send the information to my medical desk that could able to better assign a doctor remotely, and then even without any latency, that even you could able to monitor the patients until he comes to the hospital. So if you look at it, so you're bringing the main solutions onto the edge. So which is why you need to have that end-to-end automated view of your model, which is called Edge MLOps. So I'm going to explain with the drone delivery of how these Wi-Fi 6.0 and then 5G works together. And then how for example, an e-commerce company or even a restaurant who's doing the drone deliveries of the groceries that I talked about in the Mr. X case, right? So how it will happen? Just give you an illustration perspective. So what happens is, so you have your buildings, you have your city where it's built on the 5G network, right? So basically, and then you have a drone that could able to deliver the groceries for you. So that's what you see as a consumer. Hey, I'm getting my groceries via a drone. But behind the scenes, this is exactly what happens, right? 5G network will stream the real-time data to the edge cloud, right? So basically, you have your drone has a real-time data to the edge cloud, and then basically it streams the data, that cameras, the navigations and GPS, and all these back to my command center, right? So how it's going to happen? First, it's going to go to the edge hub where you have your IoT gateway, and then it's almost like a 5G cloud you can think about, right? Because that's the beauty of 5G. Your 5G, you don't have to maintain a big towers or anything like that. You can have a small tower, like a cloud tower that is built, and then use that as a temporary base station, and then transmit the data back to the command center. That's possible, which is exactly what is happening here. The edge hub is almost built on a 5G cloud, which again takes the data from the drone, which is very close to the drone. Right, these edge hubs are all closer to the drones, so it collects the data and then sends it back to the command center. So these two, that means 1 and 2 points that you were able to see here, is operating on 5G network. The moment in the command center, right, it's running basically on Wi-Fi 6.0. So here, the data that it receives from the drone, right? So there's an IoT hub that collects the data, processes it, and then putting it into a meaningful format that the AI models understand. And then the ML models will look at the data and then understand the threat detection, there are any anomalies with the drone, and so on and so forth, right? And then using the notification hub, it says if it is all okay or not. But just let's say if the drone, right, it goes to a building and then there is a fire, and it's a new event which it may not be trained for. So, but by then, until then, this is an autonomous drone. The moment it sends the data and then ML model understand it's an anomaly event, it sends to the notification hub that, hey, you manually take control of the drone. The drone safety is important. How about you bring the drone back to your base station? And at the same time, can you also trigger a call to my emergency services so that they could come and contain the fire? And then in the back end, right, my model is immediately retrained. So next time if I see a fire, I don't have to do all these manually, right? So I'll be able to do it automatically. So look at the beauty of it, right? So if you combine Wi-Fi and Wi-Fi 6.0 and Wi-Fi 6.0 and 5G, so you're able to build some excellent solution that could able to enhance your digital lives, right? I mean, enhance your day-to-day lives with digital integration. Amazing use case, and then there are many use cases like this. I think you can go to the internet and then do the research and then explore yourself. But just to summarize, like I said, Wi-Fi 6.0 and 5G, they are complemented solutions. It built together to complement each other. As I said, it's high speed, high capacity, and low latency is what it is built for. And then there are emerging technologies and expected to adopt faster. And then 5G and Wi-Fi 6.0 are expected to create a huge economic and business impact. And then can we implement it? Like I said, look at all the 8 points that I talked about. The first point is also important. Look at the market readiness and then company strategy before just jump into the solutions. Carefully select the use cases that will add value, that creates positive experience to your customers, and then plan accordingly. Design and plan your infrastructure holistically. Plan the integration with IoT, big data, and AI solutions, right? Especially when you're talking about integration with the AI, think about your edge MLOps model that I was talking about. Do some more research and see what is the best way to adopt such edge MLOps solutions to your company, and automate the end-to-end process, right? And then start the governance and ethical analysis early. With that, I think I'll take a note. I can address some of the questions that you might have. And don't worry if you don't get it. Like I said, you go back and then you can always do your research, do your own secondary and primary research if needed, and then see and fill the gaps that you might feel it's a strange solutions for you. Otherwise, those who already got it right, I think about how you can adopt it and take it to the next level in your organization. With that note, I think thank you so much. All the best. See you. Bye-bye.
Wow, that was an amazing, amazing speech. Thank you so much for sharing a very interesting and insightful keynotes, Muni. I'm very, very conscious about the time. we already have no time for questions, but I can see a number of questions from the participant, and also I prepared some questions. So what I will do, I will send you all these questions, and then we will send your answer to them. And please also let us know who do you find the most relevant questions among all those questions that we sent. Would that be okay?
Absolutely fine. You can find me on the LinkedIn. You can even directly chat with me on the LinkedIn, and happy to
Awesome.
fly. Otherwise, thanks a lot for this opportunity, Joel. Excellent. This.
It's our pleasure. In behalf of everyone here, I want to thank you, Muni, for joining our program today. We've certainly enjoyed learning about 5G and Wi-Fi 6.0 and the intelligent enterprise. We all wish you continued success and appreciate all your effort with today's youth, helping them rise into new era of computer science. Thank you so much, Muni.
Thanks, Joel. Looking forward. See you. Bye bye.